There's supposed to be hundreds of meters missing at the bottom of the mountain. So I'm going to draw two lines of the same size. So we draw the line and we label it 0.496 degrees. That's the angular size for Blackpool Tower. Now we draw one for the mountain, label it 0.526 degrees. So there's a 3/100ths of a degree discrepancy, but if you look at the bottom, there's just a smidge, just a little bit of room to get to the water. You know, we could probably... Okay, for the first part of this video, I'm making a retraction for a mistake that I made, pointed out by Ruhif in my Welcome Back Ranty video. One of my points made an error, and I want to point that out just for the sake of keeping it real and keeping it honest. He was absolutely correct. The white line that I made representing the 0.496 Blackpool Tower was should have been longer compared to the 0.526 white line representing the mountains in the background. Now, however you explain this, there's multiple explanations, whether they're right or wrong. Ranty himself has given to me probably the best explanation, along with a demonstration on why we wouldn't expect them to match up. But that's beside the point. My white line for Blackpool Tower should have been longer, and that's because the antenna on top of Blackpool Tower is included in the total height. And also there's a building blocking the bottom of Blackpool Tower. And it's the old Woolworths building. And it should have been included, the white line should have included that. So my white line should have been longer. So let's get into the points of contention that we still have.
Blackpool Tower still appeared higher than Dale Craig in the image, when according to this geometry it should appear lower. And that was the point of the diagram.
Whatever the effect is, it absolutely lowers it in the background. The density lowers that object in the background. And Miles Davis, who's put all those videos out of Trepane Law, saying that there's a mountain in the distance and it's lower in perspective than it should be. And I've lined myself up at 210 meters and 210 meters to this tower in the foreground, and then in the background we have this mountain that's lower than it should be. Well, here's your answer on a flat plane, Miles Davis. Here's your answer. Here's every glober's answer when they turn around and say that you can use these type of observations. Let me bring up his observation.
So there, Ranty gave a demonstration and an explanation. And the question is can we compare distant mountains to objects in the foreground and accurately? And the answer is we cannot. And here I revised my white line to get it correct down to the bottom of the tower to the top of the antenna. Now I take Ranty's pink lines here. These are Ranty's matched up mountains with Google Earth. So it's 320 meters from the bottom to the top, pink line. That equals 0.225 angular size. So even if we doubled that, okay, it would swallow the 0.496 and it'd still be smaller. So even if we use Ruhif's revised measurements of 0.230 for that section and 0.4888 for Blackpool, if you doubled it, you see that white line up top, that represents double, that represents 0.450. It would still swallow Blackpool Tower with room left over. So that shows you that there are discrepancies with background objects and foreground objects. So what Ruhif tries to do is draw Blackpool Tower going all the way down to the water. And them are also, that's Conspiracy Cat's measurements, the 0.496. You know, so once again, even if you shrunk it down a little bit, it's not going to make enough difference to make these observations match. And even if you draw Blackpool Tower all the way down to the water, they don't match. And I'm going to give other examples. Look, there's Blackpool Tower. See, there's a wall, there's a beach usually. That must be high tide. There's a beach, there's steps that go all the way up, and a little seawall. So Blackpool Tower ain't going all the way down to the water. So I wanted to give examples of that. So let's see Ruhif's modifications. Now here's Ruhiv's version of the white line representing Blackpool Tower. But look how far down he's got it going toward the water. Now the elevation websites I found says that it's 24 meters above sea level. But even if that's wrong, there's some beach that go to some steps that go up to a seawall. It ain't that close to the water. You can almost see the little seawall in there. But and even if we considered that, if we even considered his white line, then we would have to consider that that building blocking the bottom half of the tower is a quarter the size of the Blackpool Tower to the top of the antenna. And there's no way. It's only a 5-story building, 23 meters tall. So I drew a little line at the bottom representing that building, and then I doubled it, and then I drew a little scale next to it showing that he has it almost halfway. So he's got that building at the bottom almost a quarter of the size of Blackpool Tower, when in reality it's about 1/7. Now even if I give him the revised size, which is fine, of 0.488, and then change the size of the mountain to be like 0.230, that's still not even half. So the measurements do not add up.
8 foot. The picture's been taken from 8 foot in front of the car, but again, we've increased the focal length, we've narrowed the field of view, and we get huge differences. So we're taking pictures of the same thing with different camera settings, we're getting different pictures. That's just what we expect.
So you heard from Ranty first about distant objects through a medium, and now you've heard from Conspiracy Cats about how we expect to see differences with different focal lengths, different zooms, and different distances. He gives a pretty good example here. You see the tippity top of the tree sticking up above the truck, but with different distances and different focal lengths, the distant trees appear to behave differently. They drop down, and it only makes sense because if you think we kept zooming in toward the truck, we would eventually have the hood ornament filling up almost the entire screen, much less see the top of the truck or trees above it. So think about that with the Blackpool observation. The angular size says that the mountain should be a little bit above the Blackpool Tower, but think if we kept zooming in on Blackpool Tower. So think if we zoomed in halfway. If we were halfway, Blackpool Tower should be higher than the mountains. But if we kept zooming in, then we'd be jammed up against Blackpool Tower, and all we'd see is the column there at the bottom, wherever we were lined up with, much less the top of the tower or the mountains above that.